Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Where's My Masculinity? And today I'm with Melusi Tshabalala, the author of this great book called Magenge, We Need to Talk. And today I'll be talking to him not only about his book, but I think a couple of key topics and themes that he's addressed in this book. So, firstly, welcome. Thank you for making the time for us to meet and connect. I think before I get down to like questions and all of this kind of thing, I'd just personally like to know what was the journey that led you to write what I would call a love letter to black men.
I think I cover it in the book,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, I just been observing in the media and just in general society, Guti black guys were taking a hiding, you know.
yeah,
In fact, guys were taking a hiding, but if you distill it further, it was black guys taking a hiding because the most vocal people are black women,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so I felt, good, no, man, maybe let me write a positive story about friendship, just celebrating ama outing. But then, and also the reason I'd wanted to write that story is my marriage had collapsed and ama outie were there for me.
right,
And I wanted to celebrate that kind of friendship where guys come through for you. And so I started writing that book. But then something just hit me. I don't even remember who had said what, but it was on social media. And I realized, you know what, maybe this is not the time to be celebrating Ama Out. Maybe this is a time for frank conversations. So, same book, I just
yeah,
changed the title. It was something else, and I changed it to Magenge, We Need to Talk. And some of the conversations that were going to be in the original book, I kept them in this book. But for me, it was good guys. And the other thing that I was noticing, particularly on social media, was the disconnect between what women are saying and what
yeah,
guys were
because
hearing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I thought, okay, since I think I can kind of hear them, and I can see where the problem is. They are speaking at each other, right, and not to each other. And the women are angry, justifiably so, if you're honest. But the guys are defensive, which is a natural response
yeah,
to criticism, to any attack. So I thought, you know what, me, I'm not a gender studies person. I don't
yeah,
speak
yeah,
highbrow
yeah,
language.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, let me take some of these things that are being said and try and distill them and put them in outy speak.
yeah,
Would tell me,
yeah,
here's what's being said, but also my own just
yeah,
views. And so that's where the book was coming from. Going, people are saying stuff. Stuff needs to be said, but I think these people are not saying it in a language that Tama'auti are ready to receive.
yeah.
And I said, okay, you know what? Let me play my little role by putting the stuff that's being said in a language that Tama'auti might receive.
I, I like what you mentioned because I think reading the book, one thing that definitely comes across is your style of writing and language. So it's a very, so when I'm reading it, it's like you and I are having this conversation.
Yeah,
So it's not a academic style. It's not someone talking down to me. It's definitely a conversation that feels like, we're hanging out. We've both knocked off work and we're just
yeah,
shooting the
yeah.
breeze. And I think this is, at least for me when I read it, something that makes it very relatable. Now, you mentioned something very important about having the bravery to have these kinds of conversations, and I think for me one of the key things is part of being able to have those conversations is having that conversation with yourself first.
Yeah,
Ukuthi
definitely.
wena umekuphi. And I just wanted to quote, and I'll be doing this a lot, by the way. It's also to prove that I've read the book, and you should go get it. So it's on page 22. So Melusi says, I needed someone with expertise and tools to help me get to the bottom of why I am the way I am, why I believe in the things I believe in, and why I do the things I do. While talking to Amagenge continues to serve its purpose, it would not be enough to get me where I needed to be. In fact, at times, Amagenge may even be part of the problem because, as I said, we're all cooked in the same pot and some of our toxicities and challenges are similar. So sometimes it's like the blind leading the deaf, sifagana ngekhanda. So while I often talk to Amagenge about my challenges, fears, dreams, failures, and wins, I also have a coach with whom I do deep, structured internal work. And I think why for me that's so powerful is that it's it's not forthcoming for us as men to admit that we have work to do on ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just curious for you, what led you to that journey to realize, as in, Anyoni pause, I don't know it all. I actually need help.
Look, I could feel that I'm miserable, right? I could feel that I'm miserable, and I was pumping myself full of utwala to try and combat that misery.
Yeah.
And ngibulawa anxiety, and for some reason, I just knew Guti, not all of it is external. Not all of it is other people's faults, right? In any situation, A and B, and actually, let me not say that because that's too broad and maybe accusing of Abantu. But in many situations that are bad, you have a hand in it now, right? So for me, even if let's say the coaching hadn't worked, at least I would have given it a go because I thought, okay, I don't have control over external things. The one thing that I might have some control over is me now. So let me work on the one thing, which is me. I didn't know Guti, whether it will work or not, or whether I even needed it. But I said, let me give this a try because I can control ukuthi wena wenzani. I can control ukuthi ubani wenzani. And also I looked at the situation, and I say it in the book, ukuthi things are fucked, essentially. Isn't because you're bad.
Yeah.
So how do you fortify yourself? Because I'm not going to be able to affect change with South African society. And South African society right now is very difficult to navigate. So what I need to do is to fortify myself. And that was also a key thing to this, to say, okay, so how do I deal with me so that I'm able to navigate this tricky place called South Africa?
Okay. No, I definitely appreciate and respect that, because I think one of the things that's definitely true in the expressions of our masculinity is what we thought to be true and what we were raised in. It's changing. It's not the same as our fathers. It's not the same as our grandfathers and stuff. And I think part of the thing is just being able to admit, ukuthi, as in, either I'm having difficulty navigating this new landscape, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what life is. And it brings me to my next question about how our ideas about what a man is and what life requires of him. And quota iBhayibheli ka Melusi ngicela sivule lapha ku page 26. I think another very powerful statement I liked was, what life requires of us is that we have the emotional maturity and fortitude to handle what it throws at us and take it like a man. Really taking it like a man means having healthy ways when dealing with loss, failure, disappointment, shame, humiliation, betrayal, embarrassment, disrespect, ubunyelwa, racism, disregard, mockery, being undermined, being passed over. Winning and being the man is great, but the bad times are also a reality and should not be a matter of life and death for anyone, ourselves included. Like a man should never mean resorting to violence or self-destructive behaviors, falling into drinking holes included. Like a man should be a thing of inspiration and beauty. And from that passage,
I wrote that.
Yeah, you wrote that. Just like, you know, when I think about that passage and what you mention about what it takes to be a man, the emotional maturity, being able to deal with all of those things, when you look at the state, I know it's a very general question to ask, the state of black men, how do you think we're rising up to that challenge of being a man if you look at where we are today?
I mean, it's quite tricky. Being a man is tricky, and because of how manhood has been defined. But I think there are pockets of men and boys who are starting to really interrogate the things that we were taught, right? What is being a man? But in reality, if we're being honest, in the majority, it's still quite, I don't want to use the word toxic. It's still quite toxic, right? The way I'm out to navigate the world, and you see it. I mean, the one reflection of that is crime, right? Crime is committed by men. You know, if you look at the riots
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they were last year.
in July,
You
yes,
know,
yes.
at the forefront of that, it was men,
us,
right? And so, and it's what makes it difficult, I think, is having to try and redefine what manhood is. Ngapha kune poverty, you know what I mean? So you're already questioning, you're feeling like you're not man enough,
Right,
right?
right.
And then nangapha now you're being told, no, that's not what a man is. It's a lot. I think it's easier, you know, and it comes with privilege. You know, when you're comfortable, it's easy to start questioning these things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Got
you,
you.
you are comfortable
Yeah.
with who you are, where you are, you're not being undermined. So it's easy to go, no, Mina, you know, masculinity, how it currently is, doesn't work for me. Because, for instance, you've got money.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you
Yeah,
don't you
yeah.
don't need to prove yourself in other ways. But when you have nothing, and society demands
Yeah.
of you to provide, you are going to falter and go towards the toxic traits to prove your manhood. So I think it's going to be very difficult to start dismantling the systems that are in place as long as we live in poverty.
That's a very, very, very